Hey there, thanks for clicking on this video. You can call me Kay, and this is Opinions Not Facts. This is a little thing I like to do where I waste my time talking about opinions no one cares about while drawing art that is criminally ugly. Now, if you've clicked on this video, you've probably come for the Snow White content, which feels weird because this is a movie that I really didn't like when I was a kid. And here I am about to gush and rave about why I think this is an amazing movie. Obviously the new Snow White just came out, everyone's talking about the live action, it is everywhere. I literally cannot escape it. This is not about the new live action movie, just to be clear. I have my personal opinions about that one. I don't really care to share them. I would rather talk about what I do like than what I don't right now. Very rare for me, usually I'm a complainer to the core. But I wanted to talk about a few reasons why I think the old Snow White is actually amazing. And the first one, right up front, I gotta be honest, all that stuff that people complain about how it's like a girl getting kissed by a random dude, there's like no consent, it's like weird and creepy, all of that stuff, I just have to be honest, kind of irrelevant. Now, I'll be totally true, I'll be totally transparent. When I was young, when we were girl bossing in the 2010s, I was on BuzzFeed. No, I was not actually like on BuzzFeed writing, but like I read the BuzzFeed articles. I thought it was funny. I was like, heck yeah, that guy is a creep, and yeah, Disney is crazy, blah, you know, like all that stuff. I was in there with the unnuanced takes, going along, agreeing with it. So yes, am I part of the reason why Disney now needs to remake every movie with unnecessary explanations for everything we never cared about? Yes, sorry, my fault, my bad. We millennials, we take full responsibility, we shouldn't have done it. That being said, this movie is actually so sweet. It is so nice to sit down and have a solid less than 90 minutes, I think it's less than 90 minutes, a solid less than 90 minute, compact, sweet little story about two people who are totally into each other. And honestly, that's not even the focus of the movie. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Look. All that stuff we complain about, I hate to say it, but if you don't think that Snow White was fully accepting and comfortable with that kiss, you have no eyeballs. Like, the whole movie does a wonderful job of explaining how Snow White is totally happy with this. Look, I'll describe it for you. The opening scene. There is a poor girl who clearly, she's out scrubbing the steps, she's clearly demeaned, she's in rags, her life clearly is not great. And she begins to sing about this desire for love. She's singing about this wishing well and her wish for love. And then you see the animals around her, they love her and it's beautiful. And here comes this young man who hears this and sees her. And just by seeing this young woman in this very normal, mundane situation, he becomes enamored with her. And then he expresses an agreed interest in what she's talking about. She's like, I want love. And he's like, heck yeah. And sure, he scares her. But first of all, he apologizes. So we're setting up some great character here where he's sorry he frightened her, but he begs her to listen, expresses a mutual interest. And we see this building between them. We see Snow White starts out demure, a little cutesy. She's like hiding from him. But as he expresses this love and this interest, she warms up to him. You see her initial shock wearing off into interest and affection. And in the end, it's sealed with a kiss. Not like a normal kiss, but she initiates this first idea of a kiss between them. She plants a kiss on this poor little dove's head and then makes it go down and kiss Prince Florian, because yes, I had to look up his name. It's Prince Florian. Or Prince Buckethead, depending on if you want to go with the OG stuff. But we see this mutual expression of love between them. And so this whole story that supposedly is about this creepy stalker guy who's weird and unwelcome. My cats are skittering around the room and being crazy. And this whole idea that this story is based off this just really weird premise, it's all a myth, and in fact there's this really adorable, really wholesome little fairy tale being portrayed for us. And I'm sorry, but this is a fairy tale. It's supposed to be this idealized world. I mean, if you want a real world, really sad example of how sometimes people turn out to be monsters, go watch Game of Thrones. What are you doing looking at a Disney movie? Or go watch Frozen, I guess, that one too. But look, I get it. When I was a tomboy and I was, younger, this movie did not stand out to me. It was not that interesting. But as an adult, as someone who understands the value of love, who has found her own love, and has realized how much better of a person it makes her, it's just a wholesome little story. And why do we take it so seriously? Like, I don't know. Anyway, so for starters, this movie is not the weird, creepy, derivative nonsense that it's been portrayed to be. It's a wholesome, innocent little tale that relies on the inherent goodness or the inherent evilness of a person. It's simplistic, and that simplicity works in its favor. It's a short time run. I mean, it was expensive to animate in those days, and so they were quite effective with the storytelling they did. One of the things I love is how much iconographical stuff is in there. Iconography is sort of the visual language we tell. So for instance, it's this idea that we portray people who are in power and authority, often are posed on a stallion, a dramatic charger, and they're this figure, and it makes them look like they're in control, because you must, if any of you have ridden a horse, you probably know that for someone to be calm and composed and look regal, but be on this incredible animal that can be so dangerous and so wild, they have to be someone of great power. So shorthand to express someone of great power is to put them on a little bit of a wild looking horse. So we see a lot of iconography in the movies. We see the use of the dove. I mean, think about the turtle dove, this idea of love and purity shared between these two young lovers. And I mean, even in the scene that I'm redrawing now, it looks like cherry blossoms, another kind of romantic piece of iconography. So we see this sweet artistic representation of romance. In addition to having a great use of animation, a great deal of skill and artistry, this movie also has a really considerate and actually quite thoughtful depiction of femininity. Throughout the movie, we see two styles of femininity. We see a kind that is very surface level and shallow, that's built on control and maintaining control, that's filled with jealousy and manipulation through the evil queen. And then we see the alternative. We see the idea of innocence and a beauty that is not pretentious or controlling. It just sort of is, and everything around it grows and flourishes because of its goodness. And we see these two contrasting and opposing figures. I think that it's incredibly nuanced for its time, because nowadays I feel like I'm only just starting to begin to hear people talk about how a lot of times women are so consumed with their own beauty and their own control over others that they have through their beauty, that they become jealous and vindictive and afraid of younger women taking over that role. Because they do not craft their character, because they don't build a world around them to love and appreciate, when they begin to lose their physical attractiveness, they become vindictive and they mistreat younger women around them. And this is what they're dealing with. Like 100 years ago, they're telling the story of what this looks like. They're portraying a femininity that is toxic, that is consumed with how someone looks, that is quickly jealous and vindictive and seeks to hurt other people. And on the other side, you have this very innocent, young, feminine figure who is not pretentious, who is not seeking out control or power over others, who simply wishes to make do with the situations they have and be just this brave, wholesome figure who makes good in even the darkest of circumstances. You see this endurance from Snow White, and you see that everything that she seems to touch or interact with grows and flourishes and comes to love her. And that's frankly quite a powerful message. The idea that with her simply being herself and with simply her innocent femininity, she manages to build around her a community that defends and protects her, and that she has the power over others when she does not seek it out, that she can nurture in others these incredible feats of bravery and competence. In this movie, femininity isn't really demeaned like we tend to be told it was. It's just celebrating a kind of femininity that we now see as embarrassing and shameful, and I wish we didn't. There is an endurance and a bravery to Snow White, and a relationship building, and a simplistic, small yet meaningful power to everything she does. She's not restoring the whole kingdom, she's not saving the world, but by simply doing what she can, what is physically within her means, she changes the heart of others. She convinces them, not by her own manipulation, but by the sheer love that her goodness inspires. She convinces people to care for her, to watch over her. She melts the heart of a frankly misogynistic dwarf until he finds her to be more beloved than any of the dwarves seem to. I'll try and link a video that goes into this in a wonderful way. In fact, I teared up when I watched it because I thought it was so beautiful. But we see this transition with Grumpy where he goes from despising women and being against women to having his whole heart melted and finding Snow White to be beloved and dear. And that's not something she does on purpose. She doesn't fix him. She doesn't go in intending to change him. But she just loves him and nurtures in him the best thing that she can see in him. And it works. And I don't think we talk enough about how women have the power to grow such amazing gardens in people or kill everything. If anything, I look at this movie and I feel more understood than I have in so many years. I'm not mocked or shamed because I like to wear skirts. It's not seen as insufferable that I want to home make or bake things, and what's required of me to be the heroine is within my grasp. I don't have to have a kingdom or be a princess to be Snow White, even if she is technically a princess. The skills that she uses and the success she has is tangible and realistic to me in ways that a lot of things aren't nowadays. And even that overarching message that love conquers all is a reality that I can have regardless of who I am and where I am societally. And that's a message that brings a lot of hope. And I can imagine for its time, that's why Snow White hit so hard. This movie came out during a horrible time, economically and socially. The Great Depression was battering people. It was leaving them low, exhausted, and hopeless. And a movie that represented tangible, real-life hope that they could cling to, that was not excessive or ridiculous or unreasonable, would have been so meaningful. And mixed with this fantastical dream of being scooped up and lovingly carried away from their trials and tribulations would have been the cherry on top. In the end, we can whistle while we work. We can learn to make do with tough circumstances, and we can bring hope to small, mundane, everyday situations and put our whole voice and heart and soul into those daily chores. We can do what Snow White did. We can build a community around us that will love us and help us when we need it. We can't all be a princess. We can't all change the world. And honestly, it's exhausting to have all these stories where that seems to be the role we're supposed to imagine ourselves in. When you work 24/7, you're constantly trying to make ends meet. It's not a story of hope to be told you need to girl boss a little bit harder. But Snow White doesn't do that. It tells you to keep your chin up, to keep going, to not give up on your innocence and your joy and all those feminine things that you enjoy. Snow White is a movie of both hope and escapism. Because we can't all change the world. We're not all going to be a corporate baddie who's making moves and gains and conquering the world. We're not all going to pick up a sword and battle a dragon. But we can all sing a little bit while we sweep the floors, and we can all be sweet and charming and kind, and we can always melt the hearts of our neighbors and turn them into our most beloved friends. And in the end, hopefully there's a beautiful man who sings well to carry us off into the sunset.